When Eric's parents kicked him out for not having a job, they thought they were teaching him a lesson. What they didn't know, he had just won $10 million and was about to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. The kitchen light flickers slightly, soft, golden, and tired. Eric steps in, his apron still crumpled under his arm, the scent of espresso clinging faintly to his clothes. The clock ticks loud in the silence, until his mother's voice slices through like a blade. Linda, firm, sharp, no rent, no job, no more room. She doesn't even look at him when she says it. Her hands are busy with a dish towel, scrubbing the same plate over and over. Her back is straight, stiff with months, maybe years, of quiet resentment. Across the room, his father, Tom, leans against the fridge. He doesn't speak. Just a slow, solemn nod, like a man lowering a flag. The air is thick, not angry, just heavy, worn down by expectations unmet and patience spent. Eric doesn't argue. He doesn't flinch. He just nods, once, with that same quiet stillness they've never quite known what to do with. And he walks down the narrow hallway to his room. No doors slam. No raised voices follow. He places the apron down, folds it neatly, opens the closet, pulls out the worn duffel bag, the one he used when he left college 3 years ago. He begins to pack. Methodical. Socks. Shirts. The half-finished sketchbook. A photo of his younger self between his parents at a birthday party, tape curling at the edges. But deep inside his pocket, folded in quarters so tight it's nearly creased through, is a piece of paper. The lottery ticket. 3 days ago, it changed everything. $10 million. Just like that. But tonight, Eric doesn't mention it. Doesn't throw it in their faces. Doesn't shout back with triumph or revenge. He chooses silence. Because this isn't the end, it's the quiet beginning of something else. Something far bigger than they expect. And maybe he thinks, as he zips up the bag, they'll only understand once he's already gone. The door clicks shut softly behind him. Fade to black. The night air is cool and still, wrapping gently around Eric's shoulders as he steps onto the quiet street. His bag swings lightly at his side, and for the first time in months, there's a strange kind of peace in the silence. No shouting. No demands. Just the soft hum of distant traffic and the faint rustling of leaves. Buzz. His phone vibrates in his pocket. A notification. He glances at the screen. $20,000 has been charged to your card, Maple and Elm Interiors. Eric stops in his tracks. His breath catches. Maple and Elm? A high-end furniture store he's never even stepped into. His fingers tighten around the phone. Slowly, clarity dawns, his parents. They still had access to his credit info. Last year, when the power was about to be shut off, he'd paid the bills using his own card. They had promised it was just for that one time. He had believed them. He stares ahead into the empty street. The warmth in his chest begins to cool into something else, something sharp. Still no calls. No confrontation. No accusations. His thumb moves with careful deliberation. Blockcard. Confirm. The screen fades back to black. He takes a breath. Not shaky. Not bitter. Just steady. Then, without missing another beat, he turns and begins walking. Past the park where he used to sit and sketch. Past the deli with the crooked sign. Past the ache of what's just happened. He doesn't go to the police. He doesn't even go back home. Instead, he walks straight to the softly lit windows of a nearby real estate office, where listings gleam like quiet promises in the dark. His reflection in the glass stares back, older tonight, maybe. But certain. Because if money reveals character, then tonight has revealed something he needed to see. And now the game has changed. The next move is his. Eric pushes open the door. A quiet bell chimes overhead. He steps inside. Morning sunlight casts a soft, golden sheen over the real estate office as Eric signs the final document. The pen moves steadily across the page. No hesitation, no tremor. Just the quiet weight of purpose. $1.2 million. It's not just any house. It's the house, the one with the peeling blue shutters, the dent in the garage door, the echo of every argument he'd tried to forget. The one where he had once traced stars on the ceiling as a child, dreaming of escape. What he hadn't known, what no one had told him, was that the house had long since been mortgaged to the edge of foreclosure. His parents had been drowning in debt for years, clinging silently, stubbornly, never once asking him for help. And yet, when they needed a name to sign over trust to the bank, they hadn't hesitated to list him as financial backup. The irony bites gently. The purchase went through with eerie ease. Papers shuffled, hands shaken, no one quite questioning why a 28-year-old with a barista's resume could drop 7 figures in cash. Now, he stands outside that same house. Familiar cracks in the driveway, the garden overgrown like a forgotten memory. In his hand, a small white envelope with a single key inside. Not a gift. Not a favor. Ownership. Eric walks to the front door and tapes a sheet of paper just above the mail slot. Simple font. Clean lines. No drama. Welcome to my house now. It flutters slightly in the breeze. He doesn't ring the bell. He doesn't even wait for them to notice. Instead, he turns and walks back down the steps, the weight in his chest no longer grief, but something firmer. This isn't about revenge in the way most people would understand it. There's no shouting, no fury, no fire. This is about reclaiming what was once his, and reminding them, without saying a word, that silence doesn't mean weakness. It never did. A soft wind rustles through the trees as the screen fades into a memory. 1 year earlier. The sun is low, painting the backyard in honeyed light. Eric, in a worn-out gray t-shirt, is kneeling next to his father's old Buick. Grease stains his hands, sweat beads on his forehead. He's silent, focused. Every twist of the wrench is careful, precise. He's not a mechanic, but he's trying. Just above him, his father, Tim, stands holding his phone, filming. Just for keeps, Tom had said with a shrug. Eric had thought, maybe this was one of those rare moments of closeness. Maybe pride, maybe, finally, a little bit of respect. But hours later, as he scrolled on his phone, the illusion shattered. There was the video, posted publicly on Facebook. Captioned with sharp sarcasm. At least he's trying to be useful. Hundreds of views. Dozens of comments. Uncle Martin didn't know he was still living there. Wow. Cousin Drew, midlife crisis hitting early, huh? Old neighbor Lisa, I'll bless him. Trying his best. And then the one that burned deepest. Haley, his younger sister, replying in the thread. He's just a backup plan with a wallet. Eric had stared at the screen in silence. No response. No outburst. Just the quiet implosion of something soft inside him turning hard. He wasn't angry. Not in the way people imagine. Loud, storming, fists clenched. He was hollowed out. Reduced. He remembered going back to his room that night, not speaking a word. The house buzzed with laughter downstairs, his own humiliation echoing between those walls like wallpaper no one bothered to tear down. Back in the present, standing in the driveway with new ownership papers folded in his pocket, Eric closes his eyes for just a second. The memory still lingers. Not sharp, but persistent, like smoke that clings to everything. But now he carries it differently. Not as a wound. As fuel. The front door creaks open. Eric steps in, carefully balancing a large box wrapped in crisp silver paper, a simple red bow on top. It's heavy, both in weight and intention. A brand new 4K smart TV. The best he could find. The kind he knew they'd always talked about but never bought. His voice is quiet as he sets it down in the living room. I thought, maybe we could start over, he says. A gift. Just something nice. His father, Tom, doesn't even look up from the newspaper. Just raises an eyebrow and offers a crooked, dry smile. Trying to buy our love now? The words don't land like a slap, they settle like ash. Cold. Lingering. Haley, sitting cross-legged on the couch, bursts into laughter. Not loud, but sharp. A scalpel of mockery. Wow, she says. You're still playing the grateful little brother, huh? Eric doesn't respond. He just stands there for a moment, hands in his pockets, gaze cast down, not in shame, but in a kind of distant understanding. He nods slightly. Right, he says almost to himself. Later that evening, he walks past the hallway and hears low murmurs from the kitchen. The door is slightly ajar. Inside, Tom and Haley lean over her phone. "He doesn't check anything," Haley whispers. "You could probably run another 10 grand through before he notices." Tom chuckles. "He's always been easy." The words twist like a knife. Eric takes one silent step back, then another, retreating into the shadows. No confrontation. No outburst. That night, while the house is quiet and asleep, Eric opens his laptop. A few clicks, a few strokes of the keyboard, then silence. Banking access, revoked. Credit cards, frozen. Trust, gone. He doesn't even feel pain anymore. Just clarity. Standing alone in the soft glow of his screen, Eric lets out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. The kind of breath people take before closing a door, for good. The house is quiet. The kind of stillness that only comes when people believe they're safe, unchallenged. Eric walks past Haley's room. The door is slightly open. Her laptop glows faintly on the desk, screen still active, an open chat window blinking. He hesitates, then steps inside. He wasn't looking for more. But the truth has a way of finding you when you're finally ready to see it. The messages are right there. "Just took $500 for a new outfit. He's too dumb to notice." A few laughing emojis. Then another line, even colder. "If he complains, I'll say he hit me. Mom and Dad always side with me." Time slows. Eric stares at the screen, the words sinking in like stones. He doesn't move. Doesn't blink. His breath catches in his throat, not in shock, but in a deep, growing stillness. This isn't just carelessness. This is betrayal, premeditated, practiced, protected. He clicks, scrolls. More of the same. Months of messages. Jokes. But transactions. Haley treating his bank account like a vending machine. And worse, the casual cruelty in her tone, the pride in her manipulation. Eric's hand moves to the printer. Quiet hum, soft clicks. He prints it all, every line, every laugh, every receipt of deception. Page after page stacks neatly into his hands, like a silent record of years lost to trust misplaced. But he doesn't tremble. Doesn't cry. This anger doesn't burn. It freezes. His expression is unreadable. Not a mask, but a transformation. A man stepping fully into the truth of how alone he's been and how far he's come. He walks back to his room. Folds the papers neatly. Places them in a slim black folder. Then he sits. Back straight. Eyes calm. Eric isn't broken. He's awake. And tomorrow, the real plan begins. Sunday morning. The sun is warm outside, but the living room is cold with something unspoken. Eric stands by the kitchen table, hands steady, breath calm. In front of him lies a thick folder, every page carefully printed, every word chosen to shatter the illusions they still hold. His parents and Haley enter, one by one, drawn by his rare request. Family meeting. All of us. Now. They sit. Half curious, half annoyed. Tom crosses his arms. Linda sighs. Haley scrolls her phone unmoved. Then Eric opens the folder. He lays out the evidence like a prosecutor. First, the screenshots, Haley's mocking texts, her threats, the money taken, her pride in deception. Then, bank statements, $20,000 gone in one charge. Multiple smaller withdrawals trailing back months. Next, the printed comments from the Facebook video, the one where Tom humiliated him publicly. Finally, a spreadsheet of every bill he helped pay, every dollar he gave, every sacrifice they ignored. No one speaks. Haley stiffens. "You went through my messages?" Linda's voice rises, trembling. "Eric, you misunderstood. We were just struggling." Tom tries to explain, but his words falter. There is no defense against the truth so meticulously prepared. Eric doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't accuse. His calm is more terrifying than rage. He looks each of them in the eye and says, simply, "Family doesn't destroy each other." Silence thickens. It isn't guilt, it's exposure. The moment when everything false crumbles under the weight of the undeniable. "I was never your wallet," he continues, voice quiet but firm. I was your son. Your brother. He lets the sentence hang, then gently closes the folder. But after today, I'll be neither. He turns, leaving the room behind him. No more explanations. No more begging for love in a place that taught him silence. What comes next will not be loud, but it will change everything. The air in the room still hasn't moved since Eric dropped his final words. But he isn't done. He turns back to the table, lifts the final set of documents from the folder, papers crisp, clean, legal. He lays them down carefully. Then, with a quiet edge in his voice, says, "Here's the deed." The pause. "I own this house now." The silence shatters. Linda blinks, confused. What are you talking about?" Tom leans forward, grabbing the papers with trembling hands. His lips move, reading, rereading, as if the truth might rearrange itself into something less cruel. Haley's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Eric remains still. His expression unreadable, carved from a calm so sharp it could cut stone. "This place," he says softly, almost like an afterthought, "was already mortgaged up to its bones. You were drowning. I just let it happen. The beat. Bought it last week. Cash." A cold smile creeps in, not triumphant, not cruel, just final. "And one more thing." He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a folded newspaper clipping. A photo of him, blurred from a zoom lens, holding a massive lottery check. "I won $10 million. He looks at each of them, his father's stunned silence, his mother's paling face, Haley's disbelief crumbling into panic. "But don't worry," Eric continues, voice as gentle as a lullaby. "Not a single dime is for you. The room spins, but only for them." Eric is steady. He breathes in, slow and deep, like tasting freedom for the first time. A freedom earned not through revenge, but through the quiet reclaiming of self-worth. The past doesn't vanish, but now he owns the keys. To the house. To his life. To the story he's finally ready to write on his own terms. The next morning, a formal envelope slid through the door slot. Notice to vacate, 7 days. Signed legally, stamped clearly. No room for misinterpretation. Linda screamed when she saw it. Tom reread it a dozen times in disbelief. Haley threw it across the room like it might change the words. They called. Fin. And again. Voicemail. Messages left in desperation, rage, confusion. "I'm your mother, Eric. This is family. You're sick. How could you do this to us?" But Eric didn't respond. Not with anger. Not with apology. Just silence. On day 4, Tom left a message, his voice hollow, defeated. "Just come talk to us. Be a man. Fix this." It went unheard. By day 6, threats replaced pleas. Haley screamed through the intercom. Linda left a voicemail full of venom. "We raised you. You owe us everything." Eric sat on a quiet park bench, the wind brushing past him like old memories. He listened to it all. Then deleted every message. He had already made peace with his decision. Day 7. 9 a.m. Eric pulled up in a quiet black SUV. He stepped out calmly, dressed simply but clean. Beside him, a locksmith carried his tools in silence. Tom opened the door before the knock, eyes bloodshot. "Eric, don't, please. We didn't mean." Haley was on the stairs, tears streaking her face. "You're actually going to do this?" Linda sat on the couch, hands clenched in prayer. "We're your family." Eric stepped inside, nodding at the locksmith. The man walked past him without a word and got to work. He looked at each of them, voice soft, but unyielding. "Family isn't supposed to use you, lie to you, laugh at your pain." The pause. "You didn't lose a son." He looked at his mother as she began to cry. "You lost your free ride." No theatrics. No raised voice. Just the quiet closing of a door, and the sound of a new lock turning from the inside. Eric sat at his small desk, the soft glow of his laptop illuminating his face in the dim room. He hesitated, fingers hovering over the keyboard, heart pounding in his chest, not from fear, but from the weight of what he was about to do. He began to upload everything. Every piece of evidence meticulously gathered. Photos of bills left unpaid, text messages dripping with betrayal, videos capturing the harsh, cutting words of those who claimed to be his family. One by one, they appeared on his social media, a raw, unfiltered glimpse into a life long hidden beneath silence and shame. No edits. No filters. Just truth. The first wave of reactions stunned him. Messages flooded in, support from strangers who had once suffered alone, now united by his courage. Comments like, "You deserve better. Thank you for speaking out. I'm sorry no one believed you before." Some who had dismissed him, called him a failure, or worse, now reached out, apologizing for their ignorance, their cruelty. His story touched many hearts in ways he never imagined. But his family? They vanished. No messages, no denials, no attempts at reconciliation. Their silence was louder than any words could be, a final chapter closed with cold indifference. In that silence, Eric felt a strange peace. The burden of secrecy and unspoken pain lifted. He was no longer trapped in their shadow. He was free. The screen glowed softly, a symbol of his new beginning. No longer a prisoner of past betrayals, Eric realized that the greatest freedom came not from money, but from the courage to face the truth and reclaim his own story. For the first time in a long while, he smiled, not from triumph, but from release. Eric stood quietly by the shore, the gentle waves lapping softly against the sand beneath his feet. The vast ocean stretched endlessly before him, a reminder of both the freedom he had fought to claim and the depths of pain he had endured. The salty breeze whispered through his hair, carrying away the weight of the past, leaving space for hope and healing. He breathed deeply, his eyes tracing the horizon where the sky kissed the sea. In that quiet moment, he spoke softly, almost to himself, but also to anyone who might hear. Sometimes, family isn't about blood. It's about respect. Trust. When those are lost, no matter the name on the door or the ties that bind, so are you. He paused, feeling the truth settle in his heart, the truth that had taken years to understand. Turning to face the camera, his gaze steady and clear, he continued with a calm yet powerful conviction. Don't let guilt hold you hostage. Don't stay silent because you fear loneliness or rejection. Stand up, even if it means standing alone. Because your worth is never measured by others' approval, but by your courage to honor yourself. A quiet strength filled his voice, not from anger or bitterness, but from the peace that comes when you finally choose to value your own soul above toxic ties. Eric's eyes shimmered with tears, tears of release, tears of resilience. Remember, the hardest battles often lead to the brightest freedom. Choose to be free. You've just heard a true story, a journey from hurt to freedom. If you've also been hurt by your own loved ones, please share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next stories.